professor of criminal justice at the University of Pittsburgh, Bradford. He has been with us for many times over the last few years, talking about issues of criminal justice and policing. Tony is going to talk about life support, ritual, community, and healing through the eyes of a juvenile lifer. Tony.
Thank you very much. It's fantastic to always be back here. What I'd like to talk to you about just for a few minutes today is juvenile lifers. That is, adolescents that have been sentenced to life sentences without the possibility of parole in the United States. Today, there's approximately 2,500 juvenile lifers. Amazingly, about 500 of those are from the state of Pennsylvania. Within that, about 90% are from the city of Philadelphia. And I don't want to really bore you with some data, but I'm just compelled to talk about this just for a second. About 80% of juvenile lifers were victims of violence themselves. About 60 to 70% faced both physical and sexual abuse. Almost 90% witnessed acts of violence in their homes. What we have to sort of realize is that for a century, our country has been caging young men and women under the age of 18. In 2012, that changed just a bit. The Supreme Court ruling Miller versus Alabama required that although juveniles could be sentenced to life, it had to be with a possibility of parole. Unfortunately, since 2016, that wasn't retroactive, which meant if you received a life sentence without the possibility of parole before 2012, you continued as a juvenile to serve a life sentence without the possibility of parole. In 2016, however, that changed. The Supreme Court ruling allowed juvenile lifers to be resentenced. In 2019, I was contacted by the Pennsylvania Department of Corrections, and what they notified me of, and just my background a bit, since 2007, I've managed one of the most successful prison education programs in the country through the University of Pittsburgh, where over 1,000 incarcerated students have gone through post-secondary courses and programming in the Federal Bureau of Prisons. So the Pennsylvania Department of Corrections contacted me in 2019, and they requested if I could develop any programming for juvenile lifers, since now, even though a juvenile lifer on average serves a 30-year prison sentence, they thought it would be a pretty good idea to have at least some programming for juvenile lifers. After I was contacted, I had to take a pause for a second. If any of you have ever had an intimate relationship with a juvenile lifer, and having grown up in inner city Chicago myself, I have a lot of friends who are juveniles who committed capital crimes. It gives you pause to know that someone who was 14, 15, or 16 was caged for the rest of their lives. After 4 or 5 months of contemplating it, I decided to create a program which I call life support. And what I did was I agreed to go into SCI Forest, which is Pennsylvania's Supermax, where they keep some of their juvenile lifers. I then created a program, and normally college courses run 15 weeks. This college course is indefinite. I'll be serving it, facilitating it as long as I'm alive and the juvenile lifers inside are alive. I have 15 men, and just to make this very clear and transparent, this isn't about making life right again. It's about them healing. And if you've ever sat in a classroom with men who are in their 50s and 60s, who've been incarcerated again since they were 15, it's almost like being in a classroom with 16-year-olds. And what I mean is, the intellectualism is off the charts, but the pain is incredible. And again, in full transparency, every single one of these men committed the act of murder. But at 14 and 15, I can assure you, they had no concept of what that was like. And sitting across from a man who's 50 or 60 years old, who's now for the first time in his life preparing to go back into society, is an amazing experience. I would just encourage all of you, if you have any free time in your lives, to contact a prison, find out whether they have juvenile lifers there, and they're a specialized group. In Pennsylvania, they're separated. Find out if there's juvenile lifers there. Donate 5 minutes or 5 hours of your time. I guarantee you it will also help you heal. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. That's incredible work that you're doing, and you put the stories behind, the statistics, right? And the statistics are shocking. The life sentence, that's stunning to me. Wow, something's going on there. That's not. Thank you.